Shalom. Follow into this lesson. Praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash. The belongs to the apostles and others that do well. The name of this lesson is based on UFO, the so-called UFO. Alright, it won't be long, it will be real quick, 3 minutes or less. Alright, belongs to the apostles and elders. All praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kodash. All praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kodash. Alright, this is a UFO hunters, the Catalina Island UFO crash. Alright, season 1, episode 2, full episode. This was recently put together by the History Channel 5 hours ago, as you can see. Alright, but I just played the starting, and you could look it up on your own time. UFO hunters, the Catalina Island UFO crash. Alright.
The twin ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach are among the busiest in the world. Thousands of vessels, both large and small, travel through these deep, dark waters each year. But some of the most compelling stories about these waters emanate from below the surface, not above. In 1966, an unidentified object that reportedly emerged from the channel is filmed traveling at up to 170 miles per hour over the island. This is the first of numerous reports of nautical objects displaying many of the same characteristics as so-called UFOs. But these UFOs have been witnessed traveling into and out of the water.
A bright white light moving pretty quickly towards the water.
They are known as USOs, unidentified submerged objects.
There is something really extraordinary in these waters.
For the first time, new witnesses have come forward.
We are struck with a beam of light.
Supported by documentation and police reports and scientific testing and analysis.
I think we've got our smoking gun.
Absolutely.
The team from UFO Magazine, publisher Bill Burns, investigator Pat Uskard, science intern Jeff Tomlinson, along with science expert Dr. Ted Ackworth, opened the case of USOs around Catalina Island.
The USOs are using this place kind of like a hunter's blind.
And we're the prey.
Is this rash of sightings simply the result of overactive imaginations, or is it possibly something more?
I saw a set of lights, unlike any other lights I'd ever seen before.
The team attempts to get one step closer to the answers.
That's a tail of an airplane, right there. That's it.
For the first time on television, this is case number 66307, unidentified submerged objects. Catalina is a 175 square mile island, 22 miles to the west-southwest of Los Angeles, California. The Catalina Channel, which separates the island from the coast, is the main corridor for one of the busiest harbors in the world, the twin ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. To most, the island appears to be an idyllic spot, but the mystery of this area stems not from what is above the surface, but what is beneath it. It all began on April 15, 1966, at approximately 9:45 a.m. An object with no tail and no visible means of propulsion
These are the
was
chariots
photographed
of
over
Israel.
Catalina Island, traveling between
Alright, they are not
130 to
UFOs.
170 miles per hour.
Unidentified flying object. They are the chariots of Israel. And I'll go into the scripture and
The
prove to you
craft,
that they
silver
are.
and disc-shaped, made no sound as it moved swiftly
Alright.
over the mountains and out of sight. This is the first recorded case of a UFO seen hovering around the island and over the channel. It wouldn't be the last.
Here's the case. I just spoke with Noah Felice, who's a private pilot, who 30 years ago had an encounter with an unidentified submerged object, a USO, in the waters off Catalina. When bam! The object illuminates him with a bright light,
And the reason
totally
he's seeing them
disorients
so
him,
much,
and his plane
I mean,
crashes
this is
into what
this
he
is
says is a UFO
It poses 5
in
hours ago.
Rippers Cove.
So you're saying that Noah Felice's plane
this is a
crashed
series,
as a direct
brother.
result
Put
of
it together.
contact with a USO?
That's what Noah says.
Alright,
Well, if we
because
find that wreck, we might find evidence of
time that we are
USOs.
living
That's
in,
right. Baywatch
Lord say,
investigated this case 30 years ago,
these
and
are
they
the things
actually found the
that will
wreckage.
happen.
Even if we do find it, 30 years later, aluminum under salt water, it's likely to have deteriorated.
These
We'll do the best we
signs
can.
you will see
Okay, so Pat,
in the heavens.
roll your equipment. Ted, you're doing the research. I'm out of here to talk to Noah Felice and fly the route.
These signs you will see in the heavens.
While Bill is flying with Noah, I'll be talking to Paul Allione and David Russo about their sightings, which are very similar to each other, and they're very similar to the famous 1966 sighting that was caught on film. So we have a lot of strong cases around the Catalina area and the channel.
During the late afternoon of December 29th, 1968, attorney Paul Allione, a resident of Palos Verdes, California, witnessed strange lights over the Santa Catalina Channel. According to Allione, the lights flew in formation, then unexpectedly stopped just above the surface of the water.
I looked up, and on the horizon, I saw a set of lights that were unlike any other lights I'd ever seen before. It started to tilt and list. It got to about the 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock position, and it wasn't moving. I really, to this day, can't tell you what it was. It was nothing I'd ever seen before or after.
During the sighting, Allione clicked on his walkie-talkie and heard something that still disturbs him to this day.
I dashed into the garage, and I did kind of a childish thing, as I went and got a walkie-talkie that I got for Christmas, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to talk to this thing. But what happened was, I picked up a ship-to-shore transmission. The gentleman on the transmission said, quote, "That's right, Bob. I don't know what the hell it is. It's about 200 yards off my bow, and it's starting to tilt." And he started to go on to explain exactly what it was that I was seeing. And that's all I needed to freak out. And I did. The next night, when the evening news came on, one of the lead stories was, she said something to the effect, well, we've got an answer to all those telephone calls that we've been getting about the strange lights that were seen last night. For a story to make the news about telephone calls and inquiries, there had to have been more than just a few crackpots calling. There must have been at least dozens of people, probably hundreds of people, that got all excited, to the point where somebody felt as though they needed to offer up an explanation. It's that explanation that I found to be rather hollow. The answer was, it was these two crazy college kids that were fooling around with a weather balloon.
What did you think about that?
But it seems to me there's an inordinate amount of explanations that are offered up as being weather balloons.
Including the Roswell crash.
Now, as I look back with that knowledge, these explanations, I realize even more that, to me, it confirmed what I saw as being a legitimate anomaly. And
Because the explanation given was so absurd.
yeah, it was absurd, and it fit into a pattern of absurd explanations.
Allione's sighting, along with the 1966 film, were the start of a rash of sightings in this area. According to the Long Beach Independent, on January 23, 1968, Avalon Sheriff's Deputy Richard Callan witnessed a, quote, mysterious unidentified floating object that had, quote, lights in its portals. And then the object exploded. A court paper, quote, a bright light illuminated waters around the object, and minutes later a series of flares were shot into the air from the object. Another story that swept the media was reported by the Los Angeles Times on March 23, 1977. Sheriff Sergeant Vincent Rupp received dozens of, quote, UFO sightings reported from Sacramento, Salinas, Los Angeles, Orange County, and March Air Force Base between 3:45 and 4 a.m. According to the paper, these witnesses included military personnel from March Air Force Base and several law enforcement officers around Los Angeles. One witness, Mark Hogan, a runway worker at LAX, said, quote, the teardrop or tin can-shaped lights sweep in at high speed from the direction of Santa Catalina Island about 3:30 a.m. In my opinion, they weren't natural. A military spokesman at March Air Force Base confirmed that the objects had in fact been seen from the base and said, quote, there had been no rocket or missile testings which could have accounted for the lights. The objects did not show up on any radar readings.
Now I'm off to talk to David Russo about his USO experience. Now, what's significant about David Russo's USO sighting?
You know, I should look up the page in UFO Hunters, the Catalina Island UFO crash. Full episode, season 1, episode 2. You could look it up, but let me go into the scripture real quick. You know, the scripture talk about this being the signs of the times. Alright, which you will find in scripture. You know, let's go to the blue letter. Blue letter. Blue letter Bible. Let's go to Revelation 1. Then we get Acts 1, and we will get Acts 2. Right? These are the times that we're living in, and the Lord will come back. Alright, the Lord will come back to destroy this place in the so-called UFOs, destroy America and Pacific in these so-called UFOs. They only coming with clouds, you know, and these clouds, they are so-called UFOs. Let's look it up to see. Alright, these clouds, they represent UFO. The Lord ain't coming flying on a cloud. Right, the Lord actually coming, so-called UFOs. The scripture tell you that they ships are made out of metals, different copper, bronze, aluminum, and so forth. Right, it's a cloud, use of the cloud which led the Israelites in the wilderness, which was a UFO. Right, it was a UFO. Alright, it's a this is Matthew 17 and 5. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud, a UFO, so called, overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased, hear ye him. Right? Matthew 24 and 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. This is when Yahushua coming back. The Son of Man being Yahushua. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Alright, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Same so-called UFOs of heaven with power and great glory. Alright, Matthew 26:64. Yahushua said unto him, Thou hast said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of the power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Alright, so-called UFOs. Alright, Mark 9 and 7, there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud. The voice literally came out of the cloud, alright? It came out of the so-called UFOs. Right, saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And how shall I said, I am. Alright, there's it on that. Like all these verses that talk about the chariots. Alright, that talk about the so-called UFOs. This is the one we had. Behold, he cometh with clouds, so-called UFO, and every eye shall see him, and they also will pierce him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so a man. Because of the dreadful look, and also the judgment that he is about to bring. That's why they will be terrified. Acts 1 and 9. And when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. A chariot take Yahushua to the spirit realm, because that's where these chariots come from. They tell you in that around that island a lot of chariots dwell there. That's because the angel alright move around there. Alright, it tell you that in and Jacob had a vision when he saw a ladder, a thing descending from heaven, and he turned and he said, surely this is the place of the Lord, because the angel ascended and descended upon the earth. Alright, that's the scripture. That's the scripture you could find in Genesis. I don't want to go to that, alright? But you could go to it in your own time, and that's how around this earth, different parts of the earth, it get places that the angels ascended and descended upon the earth. Alright? They get different parts of the earth where that happen. Alright, and that Catalina Island is one of those places. Is one of those places. Alright, is one of those places. Alright, let us go to Acts chapter 2, and we're gonna close with that. Acts chapter 2. And Acts 2. Yeah. Acts 2 and 17, and it shall come to pass in the last days, said the Most High, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaids I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. Alright, and I will show wonders in the heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. So you would see these UFOs, alright, and you would also see other signs that you never see before. Some wonders, things that would amaze you, that you never see on the face of the earth before in the skies. Now let us go to the word wonder and see what it says. Alright. Let's see what it say. Or say wonder, a prodigy, potent, miracle performed by anyone. Alright. In this case is a miracle. You would see in these last days showing Yahushua, who was a so-called dark-skinned man, is second coming. Right? Let's go into the word signs. Right? Let's go into this word signs. Signs of the heavens. It's a sign, mark, token, that by which a portion or thing is distinguished from others and is known. A sign, prodigy, portent, i.e., an unusual occurrence, transcending the common course of nature, of signs pretending remarkable, even soon to happen, of miracles and wonders by which the Most High authenticate that men sent by him. You see that? Or by which men prove that the cause they are pleading is the Most High's. And at some point. Alright, let me read about one more time. Of miracles and wonder by which the Most High authenticates the men sent by him, or by which men prove that the cause they are pleading is the Most High. You see? So the signs that you will see is to clarify and proving that it is Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai coming. The signs that you will see. Alright? And you would know that the word and is true, and the prophet is who? Alright? That's speaking the word of the Most High. Alright, so with that, all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.